Return the ball to about the 30-yard line. And on the first play from scrimmage, Carl Brody, the outstanding young junior tailback from the Reynolds Raiders, carried the ball, and they are measuring. It looks like it's very close to a first down, so Reynolds off to a quick start. Jerry?
Well, this is indeed one of the bigger games in the state this evening, Jim. These two teams know that, and they're really high. The hitting on the very first play was really something to see. They're out there scrambling, and they really mean business tonight.
It's a tremendous atmosphere. There's a packed house on both sides. Reynolds and Gresham, of course, right next to each other in terms of their location. The Raiders being led at quarterback by J.C. Schlechter. Running out of the I formation, the up back is Kent Dawson, tailback Carl Brody. Wing back Corey Morris. Correction, that's Jordan Wiggins in motion to the right. Give us to Brody, straight up the middle. Brody wide open, breaks it outside and slipped. Looks like he tripped over himself.
Too bad. He was making a good catch.
But a great job. He had to walk to the outside and had an opportunity. And that is a first down for the Raiders as the ball is marked on the 49-yard line of Reynolds. And Reynolds on the drive here. And Jerry, two of the outstanding running backs in the state here tonight. And Carl Brody, the tailback for the Raiders, and Matt Lassard, the outstanding running back and leading scorer in the league for the Gresham Gophers.
And it's all predicated on their line play. Both teams have very fine lines and giving those runners an opportunity to break loose. And that's what made those runners good runners.
Great job that time by the Gresham defense as they get outside very quickly and able to turn Brody back inside. Number 24, John Valadez, up to make the first contact and turn Brody back inside.
It looked like that play was going to develop, didn't you think, Jim? Reynolds had two linemen out in front of that ball carrier, but Gresham recovered very quickly.
They had a crackback block coming from the outside man, who was Jordan Wiggins that time in motion. Number 81 is the wing back. Now Peterson drops back. Wooden moves up to the tight end. Peterson in motion left. Out of split backs. Quick block outside again. That Brody trying to get outside. Hanging on for dear life. And finally wrestling him down to the ground. Number 89 from the Gophers. That was Wells Green.
Both of these teams have excellent team speed. You'll see that a play begins and it looks like it's going to develop into something, and they're very, very quick to recover.
Be third down now and about 5 on the play. Correct, to make that 4 on the play. Ball marked just inside the 45-yard line of Gresham. Power eye this time. Brody the deep back. Gives it to the up man, Dawson this time, and Gresham stuffs it right at the line of scrimmage. Nothing there that time as the Raiders tried to go to Kent Dawson, the outstanding sprinter, the Mount Hood Conference track meet last year.
I'm not too sure if the quarterback, Schlechter, wanted to read that. Had he pulled the ball and then pitched on the option, I think he would have had a better game.
Morris the punt, Womack back, along with number 3, Jimmy Jones. That's Jones taking the ball. Jones bumped immediately and taken down immediately by number 86 from the Raiders, Chris Hamburg.
Well, Reynolds was able to move the ball relatively well. They, of course, got stopped there for a while, but they chunked it up the field, and probably, like I said, that last running play that they ran, had they run the option to the outside, I think they would have had a good gain and gotten the first down.
The referee's talking with quarterback Tyler Nagel. Number 1, Tyler Nagel, a senior who's come on with a couple of tremendous games here. They have a procedure penalty against Reynolds. It's declined. Gresham wants the ball. You know, and that's one thing that's so great about this game tonight, Jerry, is everybody is so pumped up. And, of course, Nagel just excited, anxious to get the thing going. Ball is marked on the 20-yard line of the Gophers. They'll take over in their first series tonight now as Nagel brings them up.
Wide slot to the right with the eye.
Running out of split backs now. Ludwig and Lassard. Straight ahead, and Reynolds really keen on Brian Ludwig that time.
It was Trevor Budge, if I have my numbers right, 79. Maybe there's 2 79s. Had to be Paul Hathaway. Paul Hathaway, pretty good sized boy, 6'2", 215 pounds, really stuffed that.
Lassard and Ludwig in the backfield. 49 is Lassard, 42 is Ludwig. Tyler Nagel, the quarterback. Out of the I formation this time. Lassard, the deep back, gets a pitch to the right, following his blocker, and nothing there, and it's Brent Dupuis. Brent Dupuis comes up very quickly and knocks him back for about a 3-yard loss.
Fine tackle, fine open field tackle.
Excellent job by Dupuis that time to read and to shed the block and get up the field very quickly that time and make contact in the backfield. So it'll be 3rd down and just over 10. We'll call it 3rd and 11 now. Correction, 3rd and 10. 3rd and 10. Nagel brings him up again out of split backs this time. In motion is Valadez to the left. Nagel back to pass, looking downfield. He's got lots of pressure by Maroney. Turns it upfield. He's going to run. And unable to get the first down as number 74, Ryan Hager, comes up quickly and makes the first contact.
Fine recovery by Reynolds. He really looked like he had some running room there, and he's pretty quick. But Dupree came in there, and those linebackers and safeties recovered very quickly.
Dean Marlowe to punt, number 11. Back is Brody and Sean Talt for the Raiders. Nice kick that time. Good high kick. Fair catch called for by Brody. And he takes the ball on the 27-yard line of Reynolds. And that's where Reynolds will take over, as neither team can really mount a long drive, although Reynolds moved the ball down well and then just didn't get it done when they had to on 3rd down and long yardage. But Gresham really unable to get anything generated at this time.
Reynolds was moving the ball with a blast play over their left side. We'll see if they come back to that.
J.C. Schlechter, quarterback. In Corey Morris to the left now. Double tight end set. Looking down is Schlechter, looking downfield. He's got a man open, but he overthrows Dawson, who he was looking for out in the flat. He was covered by Brian Ludwig, number 42. And, you know, it's always kind of interesting. Gresham always seems to have a few people that do go both ways, even though they have a number of talented athletes. But they always have those outstanding athletes that Coach Gary Stiles just can't keep off the field.
No, you have an athlete the caliber that they have. You've got to play him. You just have to play him, and especially in an important game like this. I was very interested in how Schlechter handled that pass play. Both those receivers were relatively covered, and he threw the ball away just like he should have.
Evan Selby, flank left. Jordan Wiggins in the slot left, out of the I formation. Give this to Brody. Brody off tackle. Brody looked like he was just about ready to break it. And again, number 89, Wells Green, makes contact and hangs on, although Brody drags him for about a 4-yard gain. So it'll be 3rd down and 6 now.
Little Mark Stockton did a good job there. He got in and had a hold of Brody's leg too.
Ball is marked at the 33-yard line of the Raiders. 3rd down now and 6. Corey Morris flanks out to the right. Double tight end set. Peterson one tight end. Wiggins yet end. Split backs this time. Sam Mitchell, number 44 in the ball game now, along with Brody in the backfield. Schlechter, quarterback, gives the ball to Brody. Brody looks inside. Nothing there. And he is hemmed up right at the bottom. Jerry, I can't see who's on the bottom of that pile. But somebody got into his legs down there. It looked like number 72 was in the legs. Doug Boss was right down at the bottom.
Doug Boss was there, and that little Mark Stockton there again.
And that'll bring up 4th down now and 5, and the Raiders will have to kick as Corey Morris draws back to punt again. Dropping deep are number 10, Rob Womack, and number 3, Jimmy Jones for the Gophers. Good snap. Nice kick that time by Morris. Hangs it up pretty good. That's Womack. Fakes catching the ball and lets it go out of bounds. As it bounces out of bounds, a great field position this time now for the Gophers as the ball goes out of bounds on the 43-yard line where Gresham will take over.
That wind played a little bit of play, came to play in that, Jim. The ball looked like it was going to be a nice punt, and it didn't turn over, but the wind caught it and re-hauled it out. Probably knocked off about 12 yards off of that punt.
We might mention the field conditions are really ideal tonight, with the exception of that wind coming into play, especially when we have 2 fine kickers, and Mike Nadeau and Dean Marlowe for these 2 teams tonight. Nagel at quarterback, out of the I formation this time to give his Fake to Lessard. Lots of pressure right there. Able to get away from it is Nagel. Nagel breaks to the outside. He's going to run, and he's pushed out of bounds finally by number 23. That's Peter Taylor pushing him out of bounds. And Nagel looked like he was going to be tackled deep in the backfield. As I think that was Jeff Wallace. We'll watch here. I think it was Jeff Wallace that was in there right away. No one picked him up as you see Wallace come right through. Has a hold of him but can't hang on. And, of course, there's no in-the-grasp rule as Nagel breaks out to the right and does an excellent job of picking up 5 yards on the play.
There was just one place he could have run, and he found it, Jim. He's back there scrambling. It's pretty tough to pick out, but he did. And the right side was it, and he got over there and got about 5 or 6 yards.
Tyler Nagel, number 1, 7 touchdown passes so far this year. Nagel gives to Lessard. That's Lessard. Straight spin move. Keeps driving. Excellent move. And there we see one of the outstanding ground gainers in the history of the Mountain Hood Conference, Matt Lessard. Lessard takes the ball all the way down to the Raider 41-yard line, and Lessard, of course, very, very close to that 1,000-yard mark for the year. And Lessard also, in terms of scoring, is the leading scorer in the league. He has 84 points, and he also is ranked about 5th in the state. So Matt Lessard having just a banner year for the Gresham Gophers. Out of the power I now.
They're in a tight chin for the first time.
Eagle, quarterback. Give is to Lessard. Lessard, the line of scrimmage. Ryan Hager, number 74 from the Raiders, gets on of him and hangs on, but Lessard's still able to carry him for about a 2-yard gain. And Matt Lessard, for his size, Jerry, is one of these kids who 6 foot, 185 pounds, is just tougher than nails and just keeps those legs driving and always gets the extra yard.
Well, he's extremely quick, and oftentimes a ball player who's extremely quick knocked off his feet easily, but not Lessard. He's got good balance, he stays on his feet, and like you said, he keeps his feet moving.
Slot right now. Valadez in motion. Gives to Valdez on the end around. Valdez not able to get outside, breaks 1 tackle, breaks 2, breaks 3 tackles, but not able to finally. Brent Dupuis is the guy who got up there and finally would not let him go. Number 66 from. I tell you, he did a heck of a job of breaking about 3 tackles and just could not.
It looked like he had a little butter on his legs there. They were sliding off of him and not being able to wrap him up. And there was 3 just clean shots at him, and none of those people hardly did anything.
John Valadez with an excellent effort that time, but just not able to get the corner turn. Valadez, the 6th leading scorer in the league with 42 points, a number of those coming on touchdown receptions, so a very dangerous receiver. Is in a wide formation now.
Screen pass off
looking
the
for the
side.
screen, and right there is Valadez, and covering very quickly for the Raiders.
Fine job.
Was Ryan Trifari, number 51, up very quick. And that'll bring up now in about 13. Marlowe, number 11, back to punt. He'll be punting. The ball is spotted at the 45-yard line of Reynolds. Back is Brody and Sean Talt, number 21. Left-footed kicker. And Brody takes the ball on about the 7. Looks for some running room. Hesitates a little bit. Breaks the outside to the left side. Breaks 1 tackle. He's going down the sideline. Only made enough to run right over Dean Marlowe, the kicker, but Marlowe able to at least throw him off stride at 77. Jason Tootie. Oh, boy.
That's the talents of Carl Brody. Carl Brody has size, Coach. You notice it there. They again, had a good shot at him.
We'll watch it here.
We'll watch it here as they show Carl running this ball.
Tututkian is the man who made the tackle finally, number 77, as Brody ran right over number 11, Dean Marlowe. And we'll see Brody here kind of hesitating, not quite sure where he's going to go, and all of a sudden he breaks to the outside. And right here, Marlowe comes up and tries to take him on, and he runs right over, and Tututkian finally able to jump on top and bring him down at the Gresham 43-yard line on a fantastic punt return by Carl Brody. Tight formation this time, flank wide right is Corey. They give it to Dawson, the up man. Dawson quickly breaks through the line of scrimmage, and number 45, Mike Meyer, wraps him up, but not until Dawson has gained about 8 yards on the play, all the way down to the 39-yard line.
Again, credit that line play, Jim. The offensive lines on both teams are really getting off on the ball and making some good running room.
Up out of the I formation now, 2nd and 1. Ball's marked at the 34-yard line of the Gophers. He gives it to Dawson again. Dawson quickly outside. He breaks one tackle. Rob Womack has a hold of him and finally wrestles him down to the ground after Kent Dawson able to gain about 11 yards on the play, call it 10 yards on the play. And he picks up the first down as it will be spotted at the 24-yard line of the Gophers. And here again, Jerry, it's that line play, and it's just grinding it out. Well, Reynolds hasn't put the ball in the air. They've just taken it right at him.
Exactly, and Kent Dawson's kind of an unheralded back. He's got extremely good speed, and they have to watch Brody. And when they give the ball to Dawson, he usually has a pretty good chance of making some yardage.
Schlechter brings him out of the I formation again. This time to give it to Brody, and he's tripped up right at the line of scrimmage on a great job that time by Jeremy Kingsbury. Just gets a hold of an ankle and able to trip up Carl Brody right at the line of scrimmage. He falls forward, gained about 1 on the play, so it'll be 2nd down and 9. The ball is spotted on the 23-yard line now of the Gophers, and this is where it gets tough. You get down there, and Gresham, of course, knows how to win.
That's true, Jim. They have a tremendous tradition, and in this zone, it is tough to move the ball.
Evan Selby, flank to the right. Option out, Schlechter looking. Nothing there. He's hemmed in. Sam Mitchell was the pitch man that time, and pretty good job, really, by the Gophers to come up and contain number 45. That was gaining, but number 82 was actually the man that finally brought him down, Justin McCluskey.
Well, had Schlechter cut that ball up a little bit earlier and not kept running to the sideline, they would have had a better play. They would have had to take him, and then the pitch man would have been exposed for the pitch, but he got too close to the pitch man, and they were both being covered by the same person.
3rd down now and about 4. In motion is Corey Morris to the left. Schlechter gives to Sam Mitchell, the tailback that time, and Mitchell is tripped up. And again, it's that big number 79, Jeremy Kingsbury, 6'2", 235 junior, who's able to catch an ankle right there and hold him. So it'll bring up 4th yardage now. 4th and about 1.5, and we have 15 seconds to go here in the first quarter, and it looks like Reynolds is going to take a timeout here. Kind of an interesting timeout, Jerry, in that they had 15 seconds to go before the quarter, and they decided to take the timeout instead and talk it over here.
I thought so too, Jim, because if they're going to go to for a field goal, kicking it into the wind is not necessarily the advantage. I think they could have let the clock run out without any penalty, and then have time to make their decision as they go to the other end of the field. And if they make a decision to kick the field goal, they've got the wind in their favor. So it is a kind of a surprising timeout. But as we know, coaches get a little bit excited in playoff type games like this.
Well, and sometimes it's not always the coaches that call the timeout either. It's the kids that jump the gun a little bit. But you're right, it would have been a big advantage to go down to the other end of the field and have the wind at your back. If they were going to kick the field goal, the ball is spotted on the 15-yard line. Of course, Mike Nadeau is definitely capable of kicking that length of field goal. It would be a 25-yard field goal. But I think that they have enough confidence in their running game that they're going to strap their hats on and probably go right after it here and see if they can't.
You'll probably see a little different defense from Gresham. They've had good luck over that left side. Interesting where they picked the run. So they picked the run.
Sam Mitchell in the backfield with Carl Brody out of split back. Quick pitch outside to Brody. Brody trying to get around the outside. And right at the line of scrimmage,
he's got the first down.
They had him, number 45, coming up very quickly was Mike Meyer, who unable to hold on to Carl Brody. And there comes the strength that we talk about so often with Carl Brody. Able to break that tackle rather than a loss. He ends up picking up the first down on a big run by Carl Brody that time, all the way down to the 13-yard line of Gresham.
Brody's one of those backs that really is a big college prospect, Jim. He's got the size, he's got the speed, the savvy and balance. I think in a few years you might see him playing for a large college.
And that's the end of the first quarter with no score here at Gresham High School as the Reynolds Raiders nothing and the Gresham Gophers nothing. We'll be back with second quarter action right after this.
on straight. Bradford Marsalis. Salis. On Paul Schaefer on keys. Carly Simon on lead. There are a lot of different parts to play in the American Red Cross. Play your part.
Welcome back. The second play was just run, and Kent Dawson went right up the middle on, and he gained about. He did gain the first down, so he gained 10 on the play, so it'll be first down from the 3-yard line now. The Reynolds Raiders marching the ball right down at the Gresham Gophers, and the Raiders now first and goal from the 3-yard line.
They've got a good hole right in the middle here. It's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Out of the I-4 back, the give is to Brody, and Brody twists and turns and winds his way in, and Carl Brody, as the Raiders draw first Brody on a 3-yard run with just 11:29 to go here in the second quarter. So the second play from scrimmage, the Raiders in the second quarter take the ball in from 3 yards out with Carl Brody carrying up to a 6-0 lead.
Really, Gresham, they did look weak. They did look weak in the middle on that. That's where they punched. That's where they punched it right up the middle. Too bad. We'll take a timeout here. I don't know whether that's going to hurt Reynolds.
Gresham
or
took,
not.
Or no, Reynolds took the timeout.
Yeah.
That's their second time taken, and they evidently need a different group of personnel in there. And of course, we might mention here that Reynolds does set up with that unique type of extra point where the majority of their players all lined up to the left-hand side here, and the kicker, the holder, and the center are lined up on the ball in the center of the field. If the defense does not cover Mike Nadeau, the kicker, and Sean Tall, who holds the ball, then they snap it back directly and they go for 2. If they do cover them, they can also throw the screen pass out to the left side. But if the defense does adjust to it, well, then they go ahead, as you see there, and they shift back into the traditional. Talt with the hold, Nadeau the kick, and it's good. So the Reynolds Raiders tack on the extra point. 7-0 as they draw first blood. And of course, Jerry, we might reflect back just a little bit to last year and this tremendous string that really is even the year before, as the Gresham streak now in the Mountain Hood Conference, and I guess since 1987 when Barlow beat them by 1 point, Mountain Hood Conference. So they're on a tremendous string, and last year it was really culminated by a 35-7 win over these same Reynolds Raiders in a big game for the Gophers last year.
Yes, it has been. They've definitely dominated the Mount Hood Conference for many years. Reynolds 2 years ago, of course, was a smaller school, and the Columbia was in with the two schools combining. It's now given the strength and manpower to the Reynolds Raiders that is showing up tonight.
Nadeau to kick. Back is number 49, Matt Lassard, and number 24, Valadez. Ball goes to the right. That's over to 24. Valadez takes the ball about the 3. Reverse. Lassard bringing it up the left side. Looks for a seam. He's found a seam. He's a one-man seam. One block to go. Lassard for block to go. Lassard breaks the outside. A great tackle. Put an outstanding block. That was number 74 leading the way, Mike Norris. But Matt Lassard, just as Carl Brody sparked the Raiders and helped them get going on their drive, there was Matt Lassard on a reverse from Valadez and bringing it out from the 3-yard line all the way down to the Raider. A tremendous return that time by Matt Lassard, but also pretty good blocking.
Yeah, excellent blocking. Gresham blockers held their blocks. Reynolds kind of stayed with it and didn't release off their blocks fast enough to be able to catch Lassard.
Tyler Nagel, the quarterback, number 1. They give it to Lassard. Lassard looks for an outside opening. Nothing there. He cuts it back to the inside against the grain and unable to get it up very far, as again Brett Dupuis was quickly in the backfield and forced him to go back inside against the grain, and the great pursuit of the and held him to a 1-yard gain. But Matt Lessard is quick, Jerry, and just as we saw in that kickoff return, if he gets a seam, he can really pop one.
Right. He wanted to go up into the middle, and there was nothing there, so he did bounce to the outside, and kind of bottled up, and he tried to get back inside and stopped there.
Naylor, quarterback, Ludwig, and Lessard, the two running backs, looking for a pass inside, quick to Womack, and Womack unable to hang on as the ball was right on the money. Very nicely thrown ball that time by Nagel. Boy, he zipped that thing right there.
Nagel threw that ball very nicely, and it's too bad that the youngster didn't hang on to that ball, because it would have probably maybe opened up Reynolds. They're stacked in there pretty tough. And a pass play will loosen that up if they can connect.
I don't think there's any question that they're really keen on Lessard. Lessard now the lone running back as Womack splits right. In motion this way is Valadez. Rolling to the right is Nagel. Nagel looking for someone. Breaks it up inside, has a blocker there, and moves the ball all the way down now to the 38-yard line of Reynolds. But that will bring up 4th down, as that was 3rd and long. And the Gophers now will be faced with decision time. 38-yard line, pretty tough to know what to do. Gary Stout's going to have to make a decision here whether to go ahead and go for it with 4th and about 5.
Yes, it's going to be a good decision. I think he's trying to pump his boys up, and I think they're going to go for it because they know that in the past games that they've had this year, they can move that ball. They can get that 1st down on a 4th down.
Gresham does take time out, and they're going to talk it over a little bit. We might mention our officials for the Nissel. Umpire Bob Phillips. Head linesman is Rick Montgomery, and the line judge is Mike D'Angelo. And we see the Raiders going over to one side, and Gary Stout's talking to his quarterback, Tyler Nagel. There's our Gresham cheerleaders. We're at Gresham High School, before one of the high schools that has a tremendous tradition, especially in football here in the Mountain Hood Conference, and it's really dominated for the last 2 years. The Gopher League play, they ended up 11-2 overall as they advanced clear to the semifinals of the state championships last year before they lost to Roseburg 42-20 down at Autzen Stadium. So at Gophers, and it looks like they have all their guns loaded again this year as they come back, and they're undefeated up to this point, ranked 4th in the state. Reynolds this week moved up to 9th in the state. So two fine programs, not only recognized in the Mountain Hood Conference, but also recognized throughout the entire state. 4th down 5 now as they go for it. They have a slot left. Womack and Valadez out to the right, or to the left. McCluskey split right. Back to pass. Nagel looking. He's got a man wide open down there. He's wide open. He caught the ball. He dropped the ball. No, I thought he had it. That was on Valadez.
Oh, that's a break for the Reynolds Raiders coach. He had the ball, and split second after he got it in his hands, and then dropped it because of the tackle.
Jerry, I'm really impressed with the way Nagel throws that ball. Boy, he laid that one right out there and allowed Valadez to run under it, just out of the outstretched hands of the defensive back. And Valadez had him beat, and he was there, just unable to hold on to the ball that time, John Valadez. So the Raiders now take over on their own 43-yard line, or excuse me, their 38-yard line. Schlechter, quarterback, gives to Brody, and Brody right there is nailed by 79, Jeremy Kingsbury again. And boy, I tell you, Kingsbury is just dominating on that line of scrimmage right now.
A play, it wasn't necessarily a dive play, but Dawson, the fullback, went to the right side of the line, and they gave the ball to Carl just a naked run back to the left side. I think that could have been a broken play, Jim.
So it'll be 2nd down now and 11. 2nd and 11. The ball is now at the 36-yard line.
We can see Gresham starting to stack in there now to play the run.
Out of the I formation, Schlechter. The give is to Brody again. Brody tries to break the outside, and there is nothing there. Just as you said, Jerry, they stacked up in there, and going to force Reynolds to put the ball in the air, or at least do something other than try to run Carl Brody in between the tackles.
Here, if you do stack up in there, you get a hard rush. Quarterback is going to have to get rid of the ball quickly, unless you have extremely good line blocking. Then if you're going to try to run the ball there, they have you outmanned at the line. So Reynolds has got to do something different here to get out of this hole.
Gresham hurries one man off the field. They've got a little mix-up. They got a big hole right in the middle now as they cannot get the ball snapped to take advantage. Of it. And Schlechter, and I think it was as confusing to Reynolds. It looked like Schlechter wanted to try to audible off because there was a man. They were a man short on the line. Gresham was, and so Schlechter got a little bit confused and unable to take advantage of it as the ball is kind of bobbled around. Schlechter not sure what he's doing and gets tackled in the backfield for a 2-yard loss. So it's 4th down and 13 now. Back to kick is Morris. Morris gets a kick away. That'll be Womack, number 10, takes the ball. Tries to get the outside. He does. He breaks one tackle, cuts back inside. Still on his feet. Still bouncing off tackles, and finally out of bounds. He's knocked out of bounds all the way up to the 33-yard line. Is Rob Womack on an excellent run that time and really had to do most all that on his own, Jerry. There were about 4 Raiders down there quickly to cover, but
He sure did. He got 10, 12 yards on his own. The hitting, Reynolds is just not wrapping them up. They're making good hits, but the ball carrier's just bouncing back and staying on his feet.
Jones flank to the right, Womack to the left. Fumble on the play, ball's down on the ground. And Reynolds recovered, that's number 13. Michael Moore football as there was a bad exchange time, and the ball never really got into Nagel's hands to run the option. And we'll watch it here as that ball, he never really gets a hold of it. The ball is bounding around there and just squirts out behind him, and Michael Maroney is the one that comes up with that. So time.
This is a big break, and they've got to capitalize on it, Coach, because Gresham is so explosive, they can come right back.
Ball on the 31-yard line of Gresham now. Schlechter, quarterback, Dawson the up back. Fake to Brody inside. Schlechter looking, he breaks through the line. He's got an opening on the outside, he breaks it to the outside. Schlechter round the outside and hanging on is, let's see, what is that? Hanging on as Schlechter goes to the outside.
And
Jones number 12, and Schlechter breaking loose as he drops back trying to pass, and he's able to break the outside and gain 9 yards on the play, which looked like he was going to get sacked in the backfield. Of course, J.C. Schlechter, hurdle champion last year in Mount Hood Conference track meet, and of course Dawson was Brody the long jump champion. So tremendous group of track athletes as well in that backfield. Give inside that Schlechter, he fakes it inside, and another fumble. And look down there on the bottom of the pile, number 42. That's Ludwig. Ludwig comes up with the football as turnabout is fair play here, and the Reynolds Raiders fumble and recovered by Gresham. A tough, a little bit deflated there because they had a big chance to go in and do something with the turnover, but the mettle of Gresham really shows up there as they come right back and cause a turnover of their own. Nagel, quarterback out of the I formation this time. Ludwig the up back, coming out to the right. Nagel gets around the outside, but not able. That's Brent Dupuy again, who's having just a fantastic tackles, and that time he ended up with the quarterback. And he got to the outside and picked up the quarterback after a 5-yard gain by Tyler Nagel. Nagel brings the ball out, so it'll be second down, it looks like, in about 5. Second and 5, ball is marked on the 28-yard line. Nagel brings him up again. Womack's flanked to the right. Jimmy Jones flanked out to the left. I formation. Back to pass. Nagel looking down. He's got a man wide open. He's got Jones. Jones is open, and Jones makes a fantastic catch. Sean Toll brings him down from Reynolds, but not before he has made a fantastic catch. Jerry, the toughest ball to catch in football is that one directly over your head.
And shoulder. The ball was perfectly thrown. And
we'll get a chance to watch it here on a replay as Nagel lays that ball out there, and a great job. And Jones does a great job here, Jerry, as he just waits for that thing to come down. And Talt never really gets turned around to see where the ball is. So it's a first down, all 6-yard line, as the Gophers open. Slot to the right, in motion left is Lassard. And Gresham calls timeout as Nagel didn't like what he saw. And he will come over and talk with Coach Gary Stouts, and that'll be the second timeout now for Gresham, as both teams have used 2 timeouts here in the first half.
We mentioned earlier, before the ball game started, Jim, that these two teams have tremendous running offenses. We'll tell the tale tonight. We've seen some very fine passing from the Greshams have been dropped, so that they have the capabilities of maybe moving the ball in the air, which even though 7 points down, could very well be the balance point that they need.
Really felt coming in, Jerry, that was going to be the key. Is there were 2 things: who controlled the line of scrimmage, as we know is always a key point, and also who could move the ball through the air, because both of these teams up front are just strong as can be, and they've shown throughout the year their consistency, their toughness, their size, their quickness. They got all the ingredients up front, and it was just going to be a matter of who could add that extra ingredient, the air game, along with the outstanding running game that both these teams possess. Gresham comes up now. They're going to go to a slot to the right. Jones in the slot. Womack, flanker.
Should be a penalty
option
there.
Up there, and Nagel turns it up inside. There was no flag thrown. There was a little bit of movement going on over here on the right side as Womack really couldn't get set, but Nagel comes up on the option, turns it up inside, and picks up about 4 on the play, so it'll be 2nd down and 6 now as the ball is marked at the 43-yard line of the Raiders. Nagel brings it up now. Lone running back is going to be Matt Lassard. McCluskey is a tight end this way. Wells Greening, 89, the tight end the other way. 2 flankers out this side are Jones and Womack.
Gotta watch that tight end.
Back again. Nagel is pulled down from behind. Number 53 for the Raiders. In there very quickly was Todd Strickland, and get the sack as Nagel really kind of set up fairly close to the line of scrimmage.
Well, he wanted a tight end, Jim. They set up with 3 receivers to the right side, 2 flankers and a tight end. But Reynolds did a fine job of holding. Nagel was looking to him, but he was just not open, and that gave them a chance to sack him.
Nice job by Todd Strickland that time on the sack as they now high formation. Nagel at high formation. Nagel at quarterback. Nagel on the draw play, gives it to Lassard. The turf gave way, and he slipped down. As number 23 coming up quickly was Peter Taylor. But Matt Lassard, unable to keep his footing, goes down on about the 41-yard line of the Raiders, and he'll bring up 4th and 5. We'll opt for the punt now.
You could see they're not that far. Punt. Might be some trickery in a punt. Might be some trickery here, possibly.
Marlowe to kick. Snap is back. Left footer squibs it down. Looking for the bounce. Goes in Brody's direction. Ball rolled down on the 11-yard line. And it is down right there on a nice job that time by Dean Marlowe to pop the ball right down on the 11-yard line of Reynolds and put him in a little bit of a hole. And this is the worst fielding position, Jerry, that either team has had when they've taken over the ball tonight.
Exactly. Now here's where your turnovers come into play. Reynolds has got to sustain a drive to be able to use up the clock at least before they relinquish the ball to Gresham. Gresham has got to be trying to get a hand on that ball and knock it loose down in here and see if they can make a turnover.
2:38 now to go here in the first half. Reynolds leading 7-0. J.C. Schlechter at quarterback out of the eye. The give is to Brody. Brody off tackle. Brody off tackle. Hurdles one man. Runs into another man. Takes on about 5 Gophers. And finally they bring him down at the 16-yard line. The 16-yard line is where Brody was finally stopped.
He had no hole, Jim. He just jumped over. His feet and got most of that yardage again on his own.
Good job that time of stacking it up, but of course the athletic ability of Carl Brody, the long jump champion out of the Mount Hood Conference last year, using that jumping ability and making some yardage. So it'll be 2nd down and 4 now from the 16-yard line. Give to Sam Mitchell, straight ahead. Mitchell is popped right at the line of scrimmage, but it looks like he fell forward for maybe a yard or two.
That's an unusual set that Reynolds goes to because they have not gotten much yardage off of that set.
Well, they don't have a lead back when they go into that set, do they, Jerry?
No.
They basically run just one man. It's one-on-one blocking up front. They're hoping for a seam.
And I didn't see a trap block. It could very possibly have been a trap like Dawson ran down on the goal line, but it hasn't been a good yardage set for them.
I formation, 3rd and 3. Mitchell breaks outside and tread to Mitchell. Mitchell breaks outside and just barely got a hand on him from Gresham. That was Bobby Kim, who just able to trip him up a little bit. And Mitchell takes the ball out for the 1st down to the 23-yard line. Excuse me, the 23-yard line. 23-yard line of Reynolds with 58 seconds now to go here in the 1st half. And I'm sure that Reynolds is going to be content to keep that ball on the ground and just keep grinding out. A 7-0 lead, taking it in at halftime. I'm sure they'd be pleased with that. Out of the I formation again. Give us to Brody. Brody with a lead block right there, and a nice job at hanging on. Is number, what do we have there? Number 16, hanging on and making, Mike Strand is making the tackle, but Brody with a great job that time of coming up and taking on the tacklers and getting the 1st down.
Very fine lead block in there. And now I can't recall who it was. But that lead blocker really gave him another 5 or 8 yards.
I think that was number 71 with the lead block that time. He came around and pulled on that and let him. And that time we have a false start or a quick movement on the line that time. That was Jason Nida. Jason Nida in there and bounces off that line fairly quickly with only 27 seconds to go here in the 1st half.
Gresham has definitely stiffened up, and if not, other than that one run here by Brody, has been pretty tough to get some yardage against.
Interesting exchange just a few plays ago between Brian Peterson and Rob Womack. They're cousins, and the official thought they were going to fisticuffs, but just a friendly tap. Carl Brody at the line of scrimmage back with 3-2-1, some yardage back with 3-2-1, and that'll be the end of the 1st half in a tremendous ball game, fought in the trenches as well as defensively. Two teams just banging head-to-head, two great teams. And at halftime, it's the Reynolds Raiders 7 and the Gresham Gophers nothing. And we'll be back with this. Right after this.
I'm cleaning up because you made a mess. Look, we gotta talk. We make too much garbage. We make too much litter. We don't recycle when we oughta. Now, you know what I'm doing? Now, you know what I'm doing? Cleaning up. I'm part of the Glad Bag. You gonna get involved? You gonna get involved? We're not just messing around. The solution is in your hands.
We're here at halftime at Gresham High School as the Reynolds Raiders lead the Gresham Gophers 7-0. Gresham ranked 4th in the state and the Raiders 9th in the state. We see the Mount Hood standings going into this week's action. We see those two teams right on top, both undefeated in league play. Gresham at 5-0, Reynolds 5-0. There's David Douglas hanging on to that 3rd place spot. Barlow, Centennial, and Central Catholic all looking for that 4th playoff spot. And Park Rose and Sandy our scoring leaders this week. You see Matt Lassard there, 84 points. Carl Brody also in the game tonight from Reynolds, 72. Rich Nevis from Barlow. Jason Grote from Centennial. Steve Larson, Central Catholic. And also in the game tonight, John Valadez from Gresham High School with 42 points. And the AP polls, we see two teams from the Mount Hood Conference. These two teams that are here tonight, number 4 Gresham, and representation by the Mount Hood Conference. Fantastic representation by the Mount Hood Conference statewide this year, as two of the teams, the two top 10, and I think both deservedly so, ranked in the top 10, and I think both deserved that. He felt the Reynolds Raiders had a comment that he felt the Reynolds Raiders probably deserved the higher ranking, except that they got knocked off.
These two teams definitely, Jim. These two teams and some of the better teams and standing teams and some of the better teams in the state this year. Ratings are always kind of up and down and unpredictable and a little bit funny. They are important because they do get kids excited.
Well, I might mention some of the other games that are going on tonight. Of course, that as you're watching this will have already been completed, but Sandy is at Barlow tonight, and Centennial is at David Douglas, and Park Rose is at Central Catholic. So a couple of key games there in terms of those other the 3 and 4 playoff spots. And next week, if you get a chance to get out and see your local high schools play, we would encourage you to do so. It's the final week of the season in the Mount Hood Conference next week has Central Catholic traveling to Centennial. Park Rose is traveling to Sandy. David Douglas will be at Reynolds over at Mount Hood Community College. And we will be here for the big traditional rivalry with Barlow visiting the Gresham Gophers in the final game of the Mount Hood Conference season next week. So join us again next week when Barlow and Gresham will be putting on the helmets and going tough at it, as that is always a big rivalry here in the Gresham district.
Where's Tina?
It is again, and again those teams that you mentioned, Jim, that are in the running for that 3rd and 4th playoff spot, that's still up for grabs. What happens tonight and what happens next week is very, very important to 3 or 4 of those teams. There's a lot of them that want to get in there and have the chance. Some of the teams have played well at the beginning of the season. They kind of dropped off, and they want to get themselves back in in these next 2 games, and it's a very exciting league right at this point.
Well, we might mention the playoff picture and how it stacks up for the Mount Hood Conference. The number 1 team out of the Mount Hood Conference, which will be the winner tonight, irregardless of what happens next week, the team that wins tonight will be the number 1 representative for the Mount Hood Conference. They will play the Valley League. That's Corvallis, Lebanon, the Salem schools, and that. The number 4 team out of the Valley League, and that could be anybody right now. It's a real toss-up with Corvallis, North Salem, West Albany, and Lebanon all in the hunt for those 3rd and 4th spots down there. The number will be our number 2 representative from the game tonight. Will be our number 2 representative from the Mount Hood Conference. We'll take on the Intermountain representative, the number 3 representative from the Intermountain Conference, and it looks like possibly it could really change the picture depending upon what happens tonight. But the Intermountain number 3 teams, both of those, the number 1 and number 2 teams, Reynolds and Gresham, regardless of what position they're in, will be at home for the first round of the playoffs. The number 3 team out of the Mount Hood Conference could be David Douglas, Centennial, Barlow, Central Catholic. Any of those 4 teams could be 3 or 4, but the number 3 team will be at the Intermountain number 2, and that could be either Bender, LeGrand, possibly Pendleton, or one of those other teams that might slip in there, but it looks like Bender, LeGrand, so that number 3 team is going to have quite a trip to take. And the 4th place team out of the Mount Hood Conference, again, it could be David Douglas, Centennial, Barlow, Central Catholic, is going to have to travel over to the PIL number 1 and as a shoe-in, but is going to be Benson as a shoe-in, but either Benson or Wilson, but it's going to be, and so it could be either Benson or Wilson, but it's going to be a shorter trip, but still it's going to be a real tough trip for that number 4 to go in there and to go in there and again play 2 of the better teams in the state, and then for the number 3 team to travel over into the mountain area and maybe get a little frigid weather there is always a tough game too. So the Mount Hood Conference obviously is going to be extremely well represented in postseason play with these 2 teams here tonight and then one of the other ones. And it's interesting that really there are still 6 teams in the race for that for the playoff spot, and it'll be interesting after this week. Of course, some things will be decided, but next week there'll be some big games. And again, we encourage you to get out and see your local teams in action because they could certainly use that help. And then the following week is when the playoffs will start. And so the Mount Hood Conference, without question, will be well represented. Action from this great ball game as the Reynolds second half action from this great ball game as the Reynolds Raiders right now at halftime are leading the Gresham Gophers 7-0.
For almost 80 years, we've guarded the land below from the skies above. Join the proud tradition. Join the Air National Guard. Americans at their best.
Welcome back to Gresham High School, welcome back to Gresham High School. And out in the middle of the field right now, the Reynolds Raiders, and out in the middle of the field right now, the captains are agreeing to indicate that Gresham will receive in the second half. They won the toss in the first half and deferred until this half, and so they will be receiving here in the second half. The Raiders lead 7-0 on a 3-yard run by Carl Brody, set up by a great punt return by Brody, and we also had a fantastic kickoff return on a reverse by Matt Lassard, and that's really been the extent, Jerry, so far of the big gains. Although Reynolds has been able to pretty much march the ball down the field, they were only able to punch it over that one time.
They just as did Gresham, and fumbled it away, just as did Gresham. Gresham caught that long pass on the 2 or 3 yard line and fumbled it, and it was too bad that they lost the ball, or it should have been caught. It wasn't fumbled, it was an incomplete pass.
Big game tonight, as you see, a number of different television stations from all over the city of Portland, as we have 2 of the top 10 teams in the state, number 4 ranked Gresham and number 9 ranked Reynolds, here competing tonight for the Mount Hood Conference number 1 playoff spot, although there could be lose next week, and tonight should have to lose next week, and this team that wins tonight because of their head-to-head competition would still be the number 1 representative into the state playoff in 2 weeks. So a big game tonight for many things, not only just the big rivalry that is between these 2 schools, but also for state playoff positioning, because number 1 team really has actually the number 1 team with top 10 teams that will be in that lower bracket. There are a number of top 10 team bracket with not nearly as many teams goes into the upper bracket with not nearly as many tough competitive teams. So it should be a great second half as we're looking forward to it. Mike Nadeau getting ready to kick off. Back deep for the Gophers, number 36. I don't have a number on number 36. Is Matt Lassard, but number 49 is Matt Lassard. Ball's received by number 36. Nadeau kicks off. Ball's received by number 36, coming around, bring the ball up the field. Has a seam right down the middle. Makes contact right at the 30-yard line and bring the ball all the way out to the 32. A nice run back that time.
Yeah, that's too bad. That gentleman ran the ball well. Should get a little recognition.
We'll try to catch a number on that man here in a second and see if we can find out who number 36 is. But a very nice run back as the Gophers bring him up. Tyler Nagel at quarterback, number 1, Lassard and Ledwick. Chaz Churchill, the running back, number 36, out of the I formation now. Give is to Lassard, and he is met right at the line of scrimmage, just face on by Peter Taylor.
That was a fine tackle. He met him at the numbers, and his momentum stopped right there. That's exactly the way you want people to tackle.
Nice job. Quickly filled in there. The gain of about came up and quickly filled in there. Down and 9 now as we're just getting started here. Second down and 9 now as we're action with 11 minutes to go. Second half of action with 11 minutes to go. The Reynolds Raiders leading 7-0 in Gresham. First time really this season that they've had their backs to the wall, other than the game against Centennial when they had to come from behind to win. Give us to Ludwig, straight up the middle. Ludwig following his blockers, and he is able to move all the way out to the 36-yard line. Call it the 37-yard line now, as it'll be third down and about, we'll call it 6 on the play. 3rd and 6.
Smart move by Gresham. They went
with the marker up.
Smart move by Gresham. They went on a quick count that time, Jim, and Reynolds was not ready, and that gave him that 4 or 5 yards.
Double tight end situation now out of a power ice tailback. Nagel here as they offset the tailback. Nagel quarterback. Little counter action that time gives to Jones, and Jones fighting his way up and not able to get beyond the 40-yard line as he just gets up to the 40-yard line where they'll mark the ball, and that'll bring up 4th down and 2 as the ball is marked out to go for the 40-yard line, and they will be forced to punt on their first series here. Kind of a little disheartening. Could come out and move the ball against the Raiders, but the Raiders, Gresham thought that maybe they could come out and move the ball against the Raiders, but the Raiders were up to the task. Deep as Marley to kick. Left-footed kicker gets the ball off, and they'll let it bounce off to the right, and they'll let it bounce, and it will be down on the 31-yard line of Reynolds as the Raiders will take over with their first possession here in the second half from their own 31-yard line. So really encourage them to get back that good. Going to have to really encourage them to get back that good offensive line surge, begin blowing people out because I'm running. They would take a 7-6 on the field, keep that clock running. Then here would be a big one for them. Any kind of a win here would be a big one for them. In motion is Corey Morris. Give to the up man, Kent Dawson. Dawson tripped up right at the line of scrimmage. That's number 79, Jeremy Kingsbury, who's been in on a number of tackles, and Kingsbury does a great job of getting low, Jerry, coming in, exploding off the line, getting off right on the ball, and then getting his hands on the feet of the ball carrier.
Well, I've noticed that Gresham has done a lot of that type of tackling. They've gotten Carl Brody many, many times right at the ankles and dumped him quickly, as they did Kent Dawson.
2nd down and 8 now. Ball is at the 34-yard line. Schlechter, quarterback, out of split backs this time. Back to Pastor Schlechter, looking down deep. Selby with a fantastic catch.
Nice catch.
Evan Selby with a fantastic catch. Nice tackle that time by Jimmy Jones going over there and knocking him out of bounds, but a fantastic catch that time by Evan Selby, number 82.
The back, I'm sure he'll be okay a little bit as he fell on his back. I'm sure.
Get a chance to watch out of the replay. It's a nice.
Okay, Jim.
We'll get a chance to watch out of the replay. It's a nice ball thrown by Schlechter here, but a great catch as Selby goes up, gets his feet knocked out from under him, comes flat on his back, and he is down on the sideline. And because he's close to the sideline, the officials are holding up play right now. So they will be checking him over. But, we might mention, Jerry, that's one thing that Reynolds hasn't done a lot of. In fact, that may be only the first or second pass really that they have thrown. And in this situation, that's something that they're probably going to have to do with Gresham really stacking up the line of scrimmage.
They really are. They're going to have to maybe hit Peterson, their big tight end. And even if they don't complete a pass, they've got to throw deep once in a while to keep that secondary loosened up.
In motion is Peter. It's Carl Brody. Brody breaking. Quick pitch to the outside is Carl Brody. Brody breaking one tackle and coming face up with Rob Womack, and his feet slip a little bit, but Womack taking him right down to the ground after about a 4-yard gain. So it'll be 2nd down and 6 now.
Again, I think you could see Gresham's great speed. It looked like Carl was going to get a lot more out of that, but the recovery from the Gresham defense was fantastic, and they got up and actually stopped him for very little gain.
Well, we're happy to report Evan Selby up bouncing around on the sideline. Sure he'll be back in the ball game as they run a slot to the left now. Out of the out, just pounding the head. Brody straight ahead. Brody just 50 in there in center with those legs, following number 50 in there, leading the way. Ryan Minogue leading the way.
Good block by Jeff Sinclair. Really driving his man off the line of scrimmage.
All the way down now to the 40-yard line, inside, just barely inside the 40-yard line of Gresham. As the Raiders are on the march again, it'll be 3rd down and 2 now. Out of the I formation, Sam Mitchell the up back, Brody the tailback, Jordan Wiggins in the slot. Through the line of scrimmage, and I'll tell you, there was a fantastic tackle. He breaks right through the line of scrimmage, and I'll tell you, there was a fantastic lead block that time by Sam Mitchell, Jerry, as he came in there and just kicked out on the image.
Sam reminds you of an
up there untouched at the line of scrimmage.
Sam reminds you of an NFL back that they're trying to go to nowadays, tank type of back. Sam's thighs just built like a tank type of back. Sam's thighs are probably as big around as my body, I think, Jim.
Tough player and a great lead blocker and a good runner in his own right. Out of the I again, double tight ends. This time, it looked like it might have, and that time, it looked like it might have been a little bit of a busted play. Schlechter just elected to hang on to the ball and come out, and number 74 for the Gophers, Mike Norris, able to grab onto him. Fairly free of penalties tonight as he played. Really fairly free of penalties tonight as two very well coached teams, two teams that are really class acts in terms of how they run their this evening.
No, they haven't, and
Not very many penalties at all this evening.
no, they haven't, and that's a critical play because they. I don't know if you've noticed it or not, Jim. But, I don't know if you've noticed that there's a timing is snapped, and when when the ball is snapped, and when Reynolds linemen and backs are moving. It appears that the ball is getting into the quarterback's hands a little bit slower than everybody's moving.
Well, it certainly looks like Gresham, of course, they're going on the movement of the ball, and they're really getting off the ball extremely quickly, so it might just be that fact. Give to Brody right up the middle. Brody breaks the outside off tackle. He's got an open man. He takes on Womack. And Rob Womack able to hang on, but still he pretty much ran over Rob Womack and had a couple of other people, Strand coming in there, as well as 45 Mike Meyer bowling his way all the way down. Brody just bowling his way all the way down to the 32-yard line, so it'll be 2nd down and 8 now after that 10-yard penalty for a holding call. So it'll be 2nd down and 8, ball marked at the 32-yard line. High formation. Slot in motion. Schlechter tries to cut it up and gets by his one man. Option out. Schlechter tries to cut it up and gets by his one man. And all the way down, and a great move by J.C. Schlechter that time. And that is Mike Meyer again, number 45, able to hang on and pull him down. Otherwise, Schlechter would have been in the end zone. And Schlechter using that great speed and really a great decision that time, Jerry, to turn it up rather than coming on out with the option.
He did. He did it. He made the right choice. And Gresham was not out of position. That was relatively covered. But the final really had that relatively covered.
As we mentioned before, J.C.
Schlechter just broke it loose.
Last year as a sophomore, he's only a junior this year. Hurdle champion in the Mount Hood Conference last year. Give his to Dawson straight ahead, and Dawson, power high situation, give his to Dawson straight ahead, and Dawson is bottled up, but he's still going. He's still got his feet moving. Ball is down, bouncing around, and it looks like Gresham has recovered. Dawson, really unfortunate, because one thing Dawson was doing is just trying to get the extra yardage. And
poor officiating, Jim. That's poor officiating. That call, the runner was dead. He should have been called dead. He was being pushed backwards. He was on his feet. They had already been called that particular type of play dead a couple of times tonight. And I thought that was a very poor call on the officials' part.
Well, it certainly looked like him, too, as Rob Womack kept fighting and grabbing. Credit to Gresham in that situation, too, as Rob Womack kept fighting and grabbing and clawing at that ball. And it was surprising that the official did not blow the whistle, but Ken Dawson just trying to get in with a big break as the Sard goes in motion. Had the ball stripped away, and Gresham with a big break as the Sard goes in motion. Lots of pressure. Michael Maroney, and number 60 also in there for the Raiders was John Canis.
Canis and Maroney not block the defensive ends at all. They just, it's unusual because they did not block the defensive ends at all. They just shot in there.
We'll watch him coming. He's up back. He gets the ball again. Here is Dawson. We'll watch him. He's down right there, still struggling, and next to the left side, and he's just pretty much down right there, still struggling. And there we see Rob Womack just stripping the ball away, and it looked like down on the bottom of that pile was number 74, Mike Norris, who finally came up with the ball. Two receivers out to the right, one to the left. Rob Womack by himself out to the left. Lassard.
There's the tight end.
Tight end right over, and it's intercepted by Brian Peterson. Brian Peterson fighting his way back. Strand's got a hold of him, and they take him down at the 30-yard line as Peterson makes a great interception. That time the ball was intended receiver. It's McCluskey, number 82, the intended receiver. We'll take a look at this as Tyler Nagel really overthrew McCluskey that time, kind of threw it in between, and Brian Peterson, the free safety back there, just kind of hanging around just for that reason, using his height, going after and making a great interception that time. And again, another turnover comes right back.
The Raiders. You're right, Jim. That was overthrown. It's too bad. I'm sure Tyler would like to have that ball back. He's looking for his tight end again and just overthrew him, and there was Peterson.
Give us to Brody. Brody to the left. Womack right there. And Womack went over one man. And again, that's Rob Womack the better of Carl Brody and took him down. Come on. And that time he got the better of Carl Brody and took him down after about a 2-yard gain. But still Brody
and Womack have had a few confrontations.
hit by Womack.
Brody and Womack have had a few confrontations this evening. They've come head-to-head 4 or 5 times with some real good collisions.
Rob Womack doing a great job at defensive back right now. We mentioned earlier he and Brian Peterson from the Raiders are cousins. So a good confrontation when the tight end goes against the DB that time. Schlechter gives the ball to Mitchell straight ahead. Mitchell is bottled up after about a 2-yard gain. Good collapse that time by the Gresham Gophers.
It appeared that the line, what I was speaking about, Jim, it appeared that the line fired off and the runners were going and Schlechter had not even received the ball yet. I can't quite see what is happening there, but the timing looks just a little bit off.
Out of the I formation, Mitchell the up back, 72 and 74. Brody the tailback. Fake the Brody the tailback. Fake to Brody, looking back. And that time, Schlechter unable to get outside is number 74, Mike Norris, able to drag him down from behind in an excellent penetration. There were 3 or 4 people from Gresham in there, and they had him hemmed in. And that time, Schlechter could not find that seam to break loose from.
Yeah, he didn't have much time at all there. The offensive blocking broke down. Gresham made a fine charge off the line and shot a linebacker in there also, and did a good job of rushing the passer.
Interesting call here from about the 31.5-yard line. The Raiders elect to punt the ball, and then kick that time by Morris up high and down right there by number 12.
Bounce, Coach. I thought for sure the way that an unusual bounce, Coach. I thought for sure the way that ball was. The thing took a direct right bounce to the end zone, but the doggone thing took a direct right bounce.
Kind of like the old 9-iron shot. We'll see. There is a flag down. We'll see, there is a flag down, and we'll wait for the officials to get that straightened out. Again, on officials night, Greg Nissel, the referee, and Mike D'Angelo. Montgomery, the head linesman, and Mike D'Angelo, the line judge. Inadvertent flag, the old traditional hanging out the laundry just to get it dry. So they would go, we'll load back up again. The ball was down. I'm sure they would rather have the ball for Gresham to fight their way out of, although I'm sure they would rather have the ball right now than have the Raiders marching the
series. This could be an interesting series. Gresham has that ability of it could really hurt if they do break some long ones here.
Backs this time. Lassard and Ludwig is momentum. Split backs this time. Lassard and Ludwig, the 2 backs in behind Tyler Nagel. Give is to Lassard, and Lassard fights his way out and picks up about 5 on the play, so a nice job. Gives them a little bit of running room, a little bit of breathing room now for the Gophers as they get out. I guess it was picked 2nd and 6 now. So looking for Nagel, looking over to the sideline, getting the plays as they signal him in. And ball is spotted on the 7-8 line right in there. In between the 7. Looking to pass. Motion is Jones to the left, number 3. A man out there, he's got Jones. Jones! This is Nagel. Nagel looking outside. He's got a man. Holy cow! What a fantastic catch! Holy cow! A fantastic grab by Jimmy Jones, number 3.
Outstanding, and he said that ball is overthrown. Charles gave up, Coach, on that. He said that ball is overthrown, and he just started to catch.
Well, I'll tell you, that was
complete and a tremendous.
That has to be the catch of the evening so far. Evan Selby, of course, had a great one for Reynolds, but that has to be the catch of the evening so far in this ball game. As Jimmy Jones all the way outstretched, as you see the Gresham grab on his fingertips all the way outstretched, as you see the Gresham band strike up the school fight zone. Jones coming out, flanking to the right now. The I formation again. Lassard the tailback. Nagel gives the ball to Lassard. Lassard up the middle on a quick pump, right up the middle. Nice job that time as far as opening up a hole right at the line of scrimmage.
That was what I was speaking about, Jim. That long gainer oftentimes takes a little wind out of the sail, and immediately Reynolds looked a little running play by Lazard. Reynolds looked a little bit slow on that first step. They've got to gather themselves back up, because I think Gresham, you're going to see now, has got a little bit of confidence in the way they're going.
Split backs this time, gives Lazard. Lazard straight ahead again, and those legs just keep driving. And boy, I tell you, for a guy his size, he is tougher than nails, Jerry, and just keeps firing away as he gets the ball all the way up to midfield. And it'll be 1st and 10 now for the Gresham Gophers. As you can see, the big change in momentum right now, and the emotional lift that big play, that great catch by Jimmy Jones, and yet just allowed Jones to run underneath it. That was a pretty well-thrown ball. He put it out there and just allowed Jones to run underneath it. But again, Matt Lazard now, the big workhorse, now coming back and carrying 2 times in a row and picking up the first down now as the ball is spotted at the 50-yard line. We've got a little equipment repair going on out on the field right now.
Well, Gresham was wise in going to the quick count also. That long pass kind of got Reynolds thinking a little bit, and then bam, bam, they hit with 2 quick count plays and got good yardage.
Gophers coming up now out of the I formation, slot to the left. Womack, the wide receiver, outside. Option out to the outside. Jones in motion this way, number 3. Option out to the outside. Pitch out to Jones. Just barely gets the ball out. He cuts it back up. And a great job by Brent Dupuis coming up again to make the hit. Turning him inside was number 22 for Brandon Mills for the Raiders, but a great job by Brent Dupuis as it looked like out there.
So he had the ball on the ground.
That time by Nagel. I didn't think he was going to get the ball out there.
So he had the ball on the ground, Jim. He had stumbled. He had both hands on the ball, and he had both hands touched
by Tyler Nagel for about a 1
and still pitched it.
Great job by Tyler Nagel for about a 1-yard gain, and that's the end of the 3rd quarter with the Raiders leading 7-0. We'll be back with the final quarter action right after this.
Vote America. In my dreams, I take a stand.
And we're back here at Gresham High School. It's just a fantastic ball game, as we see on the downside of a 7-0 ball game. The Spirits have to be up a little bit, even though they're on the downside of a 7-0 ball game. They have just pushed the ball beyond midfield into the Gresham Raiders territories. We see Coach Gary Stouts there, and Gary talking with his people, talking with the officials. That was Curtis Loeb right there, number 7, who signals in the place for Stouts. And the Gophers coming up in a slot to the left, split backs. Tyler Nagel, the quarterback. Rolling out to his left is Nagel. Nagel looking. Dupuis misses him. He breaks another tackle and gets the ball all the way back down, and what looked like about a 6 or 7 yard loss. He's able to get the ball for about a 2-yard gain, Jerry, and that's just a great job of that
tackle, because you can see he's very squirrely. He's hard to tackle because you can see Reynolds had 2 or 3 shots at him, and none of them hardly even made him step sideways.
So a nice job that time by Tyler Nagel, but it still brings up a 3rd down and 8 yards to go. Ball is marked at the 47-yard line of the Raiders. Nagel back to pass, straight back, looking down. He's got a man wide open. He's got Womack. Womack catches the ball, and a great jump. He catches it with his hands, and then he balls. Jerry, that's how you like to see a receiver hang on to it. He catches it with his hands, and then he pulls it in, but a nice job of throwing the ball also. Nagel threw that on the line.
Yeah, that was a very fine pass play. It was a timed pass play. The receiver went down 12 yards, just far enough to get that first down, made a nice cut, and the ball was in the air before he made his cut.
Nice pass play that time by the Gresham Gophers to pick up the first down as the ball is marked at the 35-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Gophers. Just starting the 4th quarter here with 10:55 to go in the 4th quarter. Reynolds leading 7-0. Out of the wishbone this time. Gresham gives a little different look, gives to Jimmy Jones, and Jimmy Jones follows Brian Ludwig, his lead blocker, right up there and runs right into the tackler that time. Number 60, John Canis that time. Canis able to fend off the block and then make the tackle, but not before he picked up about 3 on the play, so it'll be 2nd and 7 now. As Gresham just kind of looks like maybe they have the confidence now to do a few other things rather than just go straight ahead.
Definitely getting themselves out of the hole of the 3-yard line, 2-yard line has given them a spark.
Split backs this time. Nagel looking. He's got Jimmy Jones. And Jimmy, again, a great timed pattern. Sean Tolt coming up and making the hit. 2 steps back, and boy, I'll tell you, Nagel, that ball was thrown 2 steps back, and boy, I'll tell you, Nagel had that ball right there as Jones turned. The ball was right in his hand.
Here we see the replay.
Quick drop and right through Jones, and Jones makes a fine grab, and that's a tough place. You know, he made the great catch on the long one downfield, but that was a great grab in traffic right there.
Well, they've softened Reynolds' secondary up with those long passes, and now they're able to hit that short stuff underneath.
In motion is Jones to the right. Out of the I formation this time. Unable to catch up to it as he's got Womack in the corner, and Rob Womack going down the sideline. And as they basically tried the same play, but this time with Rob Womack going down the sideline and Nagel laying it out there and letting it run under. Might be a situation now where they do have the people loosen up a little bit, Jerry, where we might see Gresham go back a little bit more now to some of their power action.
Yeah, you know, the old draw play is always a good play in high school after you've thrown a pass or two. It just seems to, high school kids just seem to think pass a lot, and it gives you that opening.
Slot to the left. Jones in the slot. Womack is wide out.
There's the draw.
There's a draw. Lassard wide open to the sideline. Breaks one tackle. He's going for the corner. He's in for the touchdown. Matt Lassard. 19-yard run. Just a great run that time by Matt Lassard as he broke a tackle by number 22, Brandon Mills, and was able to go all the way in to the corner as he dove for the corner. Matt Lassard scoring from 19 yards out, and we'll see it right here. Great job there with Dean Marlowe to kick now. Dives for the corner, and he makes point. Misses it. Marlowe misses the whoa, that's a biggie.
Oh my, that complicates matters.
Whoa, that's a biggie.
Now we've got a situation here where Reynolds has got to be able to cope with Gresham's passing game. As we mentioned earlier, Coach, Reynolds' passing game has not shown much, and Gresham has come alive with that passing game and putting that again.
7-6
particular point, a pretty good threat to score again.
7-6 now, still in favor of the Raiders, and boy, a big break for Reynolds Raiders after they had Gresham in a hole. They had recovered, the ball went down on Gresham's 3-yard line, and Gresham went 9. They downed the ball on the 3-yard line, on Gresham's 3-yard line, and Gresham went 97 yards that time on that drive, with Matt Lassard going in from 19 yards out, but unable to convert on the extra point, still leaves Reynolds in the lead, 7-6. Dean Marlowe will be doing the kicking off. Deep will be Jake Osborne, 25, and Kent Dawson, 19 for the Raiders. And boy, it's everything we expect it to be, Jerry, in terms of a close, tough-fought ball game. And it'll be interesting now. Reynolds has got to get some of that momentum back. They've got to find a spark someplace. And of course, they've got to probably go back to Carl Brody and hope that he can maybe pop one. Marlowe to kick off now. Coming down to Jake Osborne, 25, at the 10-yard line. Osborne takes it, comes straight up the field, gets into the wedge, and holy cow! Stockton. Gresham Gophers in on the tackle. Mark Stockton broke that wedge and went right in there and able to trip up Jake Osborne at the 27-yard line.
Stockton is not very big, but he sure is a fine tackler. He's made some very fine one-on-one tackles tonight.
5'11", 165, junior Stockton. Out of the I formation this time. Schleicher at quarterback. Dawson the up back. Boy, did they stack him up that time. Brody is smacked right at the line of scrimmage. Boy, did they stack him up that time. 74, Mike Norris with the first one in there. Stood Brody up, and the rest of the people then came in. And
Gresham stacked right in there now. They're just
end up picking up about a yard on the play.
Gresham stacked right in there now. They're just daring Reynolds to throw the ball. They got 11 men just very, very close to that line of scrimmage.
Steve Kuhn out of the I formation. In now, split to the right is number 83, Steve Kuhn. Out of the I formation again, Sam Mitchell now the option outside. Give to Brody.